Did you guys come out of the game with injuries?
Pretty good. Guys had their typical bumps and bruises. The guys that actually left the game, Josh Wallace had a lower leg contusion. Think he's going to be okay though. So that we kind of dodged the bullet there, which is a positive. As far as Cam Curl was kind of in and out, just felt that knee, but we'll continue to monitor him. I thought he did play well with the snaps that he did play throughout the early parts of that game and really into the second half. And then really with Rob, he got his ankle. He'll probably be out for the Dolphins game. But it shouldn't be any longer than that, but we'll see. But he's a tough guy. I knew when he didn't come back in that game, he probably got his ankle pretty good. So he got a good sprain there. But it's nothing that is but it probably will, it won't probably, he will be out for the Dolphins game.
Do you expect Noteboom to be active for the game?
I think Noteboom will be back. Yes, I do expect Joe's clock to be able to, or for him to be activated. And then I anticipate us starting Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila's clocks as well this week.
And then you guys, as the defense, have 15 sacks by players in their first or second year, which leads the NFL. Curious what stands out about that group and the contributions they've made for this season.
Well, I think, number one, these guys are doing a great job. I think the coaches have done a great job putting them in the right spots. And then ultimately it's a player's game. And, there was an investment in this draft class, especially when you look at with Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. I thought both of those guys made their presence felt in the big way yesterday. I thought yesterday was kind of a coming out party for Braden Fisk in a way. He's done some really good things, but I thought, it's tough that he only got charted with 2 sacks. He sure had an impact on a lot more than that when you go back and you watch the film, but he and Verse have been really good. You look at the, just the effectiveness. I thought Tyler Davis, played a really good game yesterday, got some good snaps. And Giff Smith and Joe Caniglio and AC Carter have really done a great job, really leading that group up front. Then you're seeing Jalen McCullough seem like he's always in the right spot at the right time. Cam Kitchens. So really this defensive group as a whole and just this draft class and really, just this rookie class, I should say, Sarah, I've been really pleased with them and they're earning their confidence. These guys work really hard throughout the course of the week. They're earning their confidence and it's really fun to see the maturation and the growth as we go week to week.
You guys paid a pretty heavy price in draft capital to trade up for Braden. Is this kind of what you were hoping for when you thought about pairing the two of them together?
Yeah, I think, you look at it and there's always these draft charts, different things like that. When we were able to get Jared and then, you look at the really consistent across the board love that we had for Braden Fisk, wanted to figure out a way to be able to go get him and pair him up with some of the other guys that we had in-house. When you look at Kobe Turner and Bobby Brown, and then, being able to see both Kobe and Byron in their second years and what Michael Hoyt can do as a versatile chess piece. And so he's done a really good job and he's been so steady and consistent, Sarah. I mean, this guy's demeanor, he loves the game. He loves to compete. And I think he's getting more and more comfortable. And I think he's really understanding, what we're trying to get done. And I can't say enough of the job that Chris and our defensive coaches have done to put these guys in good spots.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, just real quick on Tre White. Do you guys expect to have anything done by the deadline tomorrow with him?
There's a possibility. Les has had some dialogues with some teams, so those are very fluid conversations. So there is a possibility, but nothing is imminent as of right now.
And outside of Tre, which you guys have been public about that situation, is there anybody else or any other potential acquisition that you guys have discussed that, we should be preparing for?
No, there hasn't been anything that we've really talked about. Nothing of that nature. But Tre is the guy that I know there's been some dialogue between Les and Kevin, his agent. And so we'll see if anything ends up coming to fruition.
And then I might have to ask you this again next week in case you haven't, but have you ever, when you guys are watching your cut-ups and Dan makes you guys the reels and things like that, have you ever watched how Giff Smith is on the sideline, like how his actions and what he does on the sideline?
Oh yeah, the one of my favorite things is just to watch the sideline in general, and some of the reactions, and you can see how invested guys are, and then you're feeling that in the moment, just these guys are in it with them, and they want to see them do well so badly because of the work and the love that they have for these guys. So. Giff is one of many coaches that, you can see they're living and dying with these guys every play.
And then kind of to something you mentioned last week, or maybe it was the week before, on Jared's personality. And you have a couple of guys now who are coming out of their shell who you've had in your building since their rookie season. And you've also been around guys, whether you've acquired them or whether you came in, whether it was the Aaron and you came in and you got to know him when he was already so established, or like a Jalen who you kind of drew comparison personality wise with Jared.
Sure.
And you got to know them as stars. What are you learning from these young guys who are becoming names in this league, whether it's Puka, now Jared's getting a lot of buzz, Braden? What are you learning from meeting them as very young people and growing with them, or watching them grow from a different perspective?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think what you're learning is how to cultivate the authenticity that they came in with and make sure that there's a humility, and not even a humility because these guys naturally have it, but an ability to not let the external circumstances or the positive praise or affirmation or the pressure that accompanies once you establish yourself as somebody to change that in any way. Remain that internally secure person and that refreshingly authentic person through a lot of the things that make this league great, but can also water you down if you get caught up in it. And so I think there's a internal security and a comfort and a confidence that is from the natural things that come into who they are as human beings and the atmospheres and environments they've been a part of. And you want to make sure that you build on that as opposed to restricting their ability to let circumstances change the beauty of what they are while also remaining humble and continuing to ascend in the direction that you want. Where they're not relying on anything other than that security they have, and then the willingness to want to just elevate others around them, and not getting caught up in some of the things that, inevitably you can get caught up in and lose your way when things go well.
And I'm sorry, thank you for one more follow-up on that. Jared told me in training camp that you pulled him aside and had a conversation with him that really resonated with him about where he directs his energy. What was that like for you, having that conversation with somebody you were still getting to know?
Well, you talking about in the OTAs that he was talking about, I'm sure. I think it was really just helping him understand, man, this is one of the things we love about you, but where are the spots that we want to activate this side of your personality? And how can you still be that guy when we're positively pushing one another, but understanding that we're on the same team? And, one of the things I love about this guy, he comes from a great family. He's incredibly respectful, but he's got an edge to him that is so healthy. And so what has made him, I think it's one of the special things that makes him who he is. And you see that in his play energy. His personality comes out on this tape. And that's what we loved about him, Jordan. But he also is continuing. I mean, you forget, these guys are coming into their own and continuing to mature. And I think he knows I cared enough about him to be able to give him that honest feedback. And then he was, what's great about him is he applies it immediately. And then you talk about, all right, well, where are those spots to still make sure, hey, you're not taking me so literal that you're not able to have that enjoyment. And I think he's found that sweet spot. And he and Joe Caniglio, it's really cool watching Joe Caniglio pour into him, how coachable this guy's been, and then the reverence and respect he has for Michael Hoyt and for Byron Young, and how much they are that's a really cool, tight-knit group, that outside linebacker group. And Brennan Jackson and Nick Hampton are two other guys that you're excited about. And, it's a fun group, and I think Joe Caniglio does a great job cultivating a pretty cool culture in there.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Gary?
Hey, Sean.
Hey,
Oh, good. The mic's working.
there you go.
Just some clarification. You had mentioned Joe Noteboom would be available. Will be active on Monday.
Yep.
Will he start at right tackle, or will McClendon be there? What would
Yeah, there's a good possibility for either or. We'll work through those things. I just kind of found out, right before I jumped on, Reggie's getting the medical report, and you find out about Rob that it's definitely going to be where he's missing this Miami game. So I haven't had a chance to even sit down with our coaches yet, Gary. We'll evaluate. I thought Joe made some good progress, but I thought Warren did a nice job stepping in and played some quality snaps for us yesterday. And so these are positive things that we can figure out. And then it'll be, positive to see, what does that mean in terms of Jonah Jackson's availability for the Dolphins game? Expect him to be ready to go. And, Steve is a possibility as well.
Okay. Those are going to be my follow-ups. How about
I knew it.
John Johnson? What's his situation?
Yeah, he is. He's not quite cleared yet. There's still a couple little hurdles that he needs to be able to get over, and so he isn't going to be ready for that clock to start. That's a possibility, and then we'll keep our eye on Troy Reeder as well. But where the guys that will be available will be Steve and Jonah. Jonah's for sure, and then with Steve, we could start his clock. Whether or not that means that he'll actually be activated, we'll see how he's feeling and how he's doing. So. Good thing is we got an extra day to be able to kind of get that figured out leading into the Dolphins, which is going to be a great challenge.
And with Tre White, is there a possibility if you guys aren't able to work out a deal that you would release him and let him shop?
We haven't gotten to that part yet. I wouldn't rule out anything, but we haven't had those types of conversations. It's just been about whether or not we find a partner for him, because like you've heard me say, I've been incredibly impressed with the professionalism and what a stud. I mean, one of my favorite things Jordan was asking about Giff Smith yesterday, but watching how into it Tre White was on some of the different plays and the excitement. You watch him on Tyler Johnson's catch on the sideline, the first, play of the offensive possession in overtime. It speaks a lot to the human being and the man he is. And what a great player he's been in this league. But I got a ton of respect for I've learned a lot more about how he's handled this. And that says as much as anything to me over the last month. And he is a stud in every sense of the word.
Can you give us an update on Ethan Evans? Will he be available this week?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that. He's got to be able to get, there's a clearance, a hurdle that he needs to be able to get over on Wednesday. If that's something that does end up, looking good based on the evaluation medically, he'll be ready to go. If not, then it'll make him out for another week.
And then finally for me, we talk a lot about the youngest defensive, edge rushers and linemen with Braden and even Kobe. But it strikes me, on that fourth down stop, Bobby Brown was credited with
huge
Omar in that. So I'm just curious what's your evaluation of how Bobby has played this season? And,
I think Bobby's done a great job, Gary. I think, really after the first couple of weeks, we really challenged our front to step up, especially in some of those early down situations. And I think Bobby has been at the forefront of a lot of the early down efficiency that's earned us the opportunity to be aggressive in some of those known pass situations, whether that be second downs or some of the third downs. Bobby was great yesterday. I thought he knocked out the run in early downs, played with great hands. Was able to, show some great range down the line of scrimmage. That play in particular was a huge play by him. And then for Omar to be able to have that kind of violence on his arrival. But those two guys, I mean, that's a game-winning play right there. When you really look at that sequence leading up to it, the tackle by Cam Kitchens to be able to get it to a 3rd down and 1, and then what Jared Verse makes on the 3rd and 1, and then what those two guys you just mentioned, in addition to the rest of the front, on 4th and 1. What a cool example of guys making them snap it one more time, complimentary football, and then 4 plays later, Demarcus Robinson's making a catch in the end zone, and the Rams are going crazy. So that was pretty cool, Gary. And Bobby's done great.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Wyatt.
Hey, Sean. Omar Speights, obviously, you talked about how he made some big plays yesterday. What have you seen from him, not just on the field, but, on the practice field and in the film room, to be able to, recognize those plays and to, just have the knowledge that he has to succeed at that position?
Yeah, I've seen a guy that's consistently put in the work. You can see he's got a routine and a rhythm that he has established, where he's doing extra work, taking care of his body. He's got film, very conscientious. This guy was a pro. I use the word, a lot as it relates to this rookie class, especially the guys on defense. They're grown men. They're mature beyond their years. And I think that's been reflected in an Omar Speights. And that's why you're not surprised that when he does get an opportunity to be able to step up and play more snaps, he makes his impact felt. And he certainly did that yesterday. And I've been really happy for him. Greg Williams does a great job leading that group. We've got a lot of different guys playing at that spot. And yesterday, Omar, made some big plays. And I thought Noteboom had a really good game. I thought he was productive. I thought he made a lot of different plays and was able to influence and affect the game in a positive way. But Omar's a stud, mature beyond his years for a rookie.
And the Good Morning Football crew, I don't know if you saw this, gave their like Coach of the Week award to Chris Shula this week. What's your reaction to that?
I did see that. Peter sent me that this morning. So I think that's well deserved. You know, I think that's a credit to Chris and his staff. And then ultimately the players bringing it to life. But, you know, Chris has really done a great job. He's so steady. He's got such a great vision for each of these players. He's got an amazing ability to be able to collaborate and connect with his coaches and his players. He's a stud, and pretty cool of Peter to recognize that. And I would agree with him on it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll wrap with Stu, then Rico.
Hey, Sean, following up on what Jordan was asking you earlier about Jared and some of those other guys and their personalities. You know, that kind of attitude was something that, if I remember correctly from the draft, was something you guys were actively looking for and felt like you needed for this defense. You know, just from what you remember with, especially when Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey were on this defense, what do you remember about the effect it had on the rest of the unit, and why was that something that you actively wanted to?
Yeah, I think it's as simple as this. You know, when you really look at there's a lot of great things these guys possess, Stu, but in a very cyclical league, things change, schemes change, consistent things that show up, toughness wins over time. Tough people last, tough times don't last, tough people do. We wanted to find tough people. We wanted to find mentally and physically tough players that have an edge and an energy and then an ability to execute in crunch time moments. And those guys were checking those boxes in their career, and they're starting to, you know, you're starting to see it come to life here for us. That's really probably the least amount of words when I know I can just talk forever to you guys.
Thank you.
You got it, man.
Rico.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing today?
Good. Thank you.
Quick question and then a quick follow-up. Coach, the maturation of the receiving core seems to have gotten really, really stronger vis-a-vis yesterday when Puka was ejected and things just had to step up, and the play there for DeMarcus at the end. Can you walk us through with how you and Matt were talking about that?
Yeah, I think when you look at that receiving group as a whole, you know, you could see Cooper made his presence felt in that game, but I thought what was really cool is, you know, we had a 4-play drive to win the game, and the ball goes to 3 different receivers in the 3 passes. Ran it once. Kyron had a good, tough physical run on the 3rd play of the drive, but Tyler Johnson, what a big play. This guy's got a great swag, great energy, charisma to himself. Then Tutu makes a big catch on a bootleg on the far sideline. Great throw and catch by he and Matthew. And then for DeMarcus to be able to end it, you know, having 4 touchdowns in the last couple weeks, it was great. You know, it was a little movement pass right there. He ended up, you know, winning on an inside release and set the corner high. And he decided to go Sports Center with the one-handed catch, but Matthew dropped it in the bucket. So it was cool. But DeMarcus is a guy that has consistently delivered. But that drive I thought was really reflective of all the guys being able to contribute. When you see 3 different guys catch it on the 3 passes in that drive, and then obviously Cooper made his presence felt, having a bunch of catches and targets in some critical moments throughout the game. But, you know, in that last one, he was the one that solidified and secured the edge, which is a credit to him as well. But DeMarcus was great. Really happy for him.
And of course, just a continuation of Matt Stafford rising to the top with so many records that are still ahead of him. But capsulize for us, Coach, his performance up to now in the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think he's been great. You know, there's been a lot of moving parts around him, and just kind of finds ways to be able to establish a rapport with guys. And thought what was cool about yesterday is, you know, it wasn't ideal, you know, in terms of just some of the things that we're looking to do offensively for a lot of different reasons. He just stayed steady. And then when the game was on the line and he got his opportunity, you know, I thought there was some really good throws he made when we were trying to win it before regulation that, you know, we thought we had a chance, didn't go down the way we wanted. Defense makes a stop. And then really you're saying, all right, let's keep the ball in his hands. He delivered in a big way. And I also thought, you know, amazing job by Kyron Williams on that first play, being able to kind of save the protection when Ernest Jones ended up blitzing internally. But Matthew was great. And I think he's at his best in those important moments. And that's why you've seen him have such success and consistency over time. And he was having fun. You guys should see the little slide that he had on after his game-winning touchdown pass. He's running down. He ended up, looked like he was sliding into home around like the 20-yard line. Check that one out.
Last question, Coach. The congratulations, the celebration going on in the city. Have you had a chance to talk to Dave Roberts yet?
I have. Yeah, Dave's great. I was really happy for Dave, and more impressed with just the consistency at which he's led over time. Talked to him a little bit before the World Series, and then got a chance to talk to him right before they had their parade. So Dave's awesome. I look up to Dave. We try to mimic and emulate a lot of the ways that he goes about it, and that's it's a pretty cool little deal. That being able to lead the way and manage those guys, and you could see the love and respect that they all have for one another and the way they've navigated through it. Congrats to the Dodgers and Dave Roberts. He knows what a fan of his I am.
Thank you so much, Coach. Have a great day.
All righty.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Thanks, guys.